Simon Ateba joins us now. He's the chief White House correspondent at Today News Africa. He joins us via Skype. Simon, always a pleasure to have you. Did this surprise you, this news from the press office?
Thank you, Dana, for having me. Yes, it surprised me because they actually coordinated with the Washington Post. 2 days before the White House sent me the letter, the Washington Post did a hit piece on me, and they said how horrible I was. And then out of the blue, I received an email from the White House, and the title of the email was Warning Letter. And they are saying that essentially they are trying to silence me. If I yell a question, if I interrupt any other press briefing, they will kick me out. And as you said, Jim Acosta used to, interrupt all of them. He wasn't the only one. You had another guy called Brian Karem, so who was always interrupting the press briefing, because then they thought that they claimed that President Trump was the bad guy, and they needed to oppose him. And now President Biden is in office, and everything should be really great. And so they are trying to silence me for doing my job and for asking the question that the people really care about. And I'm just asking anyone who is listening or watching this to just keep praying for me, keep praying for courage, because one of the reasons I came to the U.S. is because of the First Amendment. The only country that is almost like the U.S. was more than 2,500 years ago in Athens. And once you lose that freedom of the press and that freedom of expression, the country collapses. And we've seen it with other countries. And it's unfortunate that they're just trying to silence me. They don't want me to ask questions. They've not called on me. Karine Jean-Pierre has not called on me in 9 months.
Wow.
She didn't call on me when President Biden received 50 African leaders in Washington, D.C. Didn't call on me when the First Lady went to Africa. Didn't call on me when the Vice President went to Africa, when the Secretary of State went to Africa. Even in background calls, they don't call on me. I send emails, and my emails go unanswered. And they've also banned me from attending 99% of President Biden's press conferences. And so I'm left with the last resort, where I yell a question once in a while after many months. And now they brand me, they label me as disruptive and rude. And all of them, all the people writing those stories against me, they should really be ashamed of themselves. The Washington Post, The Hill, and all of them, because they are doing one-sided story. They are not looking into the discrimination against me. They just sit down and they read my tweet and they write a negative story against me. Some of them are actually jealous. And it's unfortunate that they're trying to do that, especially because I'm reaching 200 million people on Twitter every 28 days, reaching between 7 to 10 million people every single day. And because of that, they've identified me as someone they need to target.
It's unbelievable. We're talking with Simon Ateba, who, if people are unfamiliar with his work, he's a very well-known and well-respected reporter. I mean, you're an international reporter, so you have quite a large distribution, for the lack of a better way to put it. And it's amazing the journalists that the White House does prioritize, the questions from, the reporters whose questions they do take, because they're softballs. They're not really questions. They're statement of fact. They're not really, inquisitive at all. And it really shocks me, too. You mentioned the Washington Post wrote the piece about you before you even received the letter from the White House. So someone in Biden's press office told the Washington Post before they told you.
Yeah. No, so they went to the Washington Post and they told them to do a hit piece on me. And when the Washington Post sent us an email, we could see it. And we told them, before the White House sent us a letter, we told them, if you're trying to do a hit piece on Mr. Ateba, my office told them it would be a long-term mistake, because we could see the guy he was asking me, are you trying to grab attention? I say, hey, I've been doing this for more than 15 years. I've been arrested in Cameroon and kept in a dark cell, attacked by pirates on the Gulf of Guinea with an AK-47 to my head, kidnapped in Nigeria from a bus and dumped in the woods and left for dead. I'm not seeking attention. I go to the White House every single day, have attended more press conferences than every single person who covers the White House. And when I tweet, from the White House, my tweets are seen more than any single person in that briefing room, including people from CNN, Fox News, MSNBC, because they don't connect with the audience. They believe that they are too big, and now they rely on their networks, and they don't really build any connection with the audience. And I've realized that you need to do the job. It's about the job, and the job for the people. And they are trying to silence me simply because I'm doing my job, simply because I've decided I won't send my questions in advance. Most of them send their questions in advance to the president. And you remember a few weeks or months ago, President Biden was caught with, he had the question in advance, the picture of the LA journalist. Mm-hmm. And so that's what they do there. Everything is a sham. And they pretend to be doing a really great press conference when actually you receive the question in advance and the person is asking you the same question. And you go through your note and you begin to read the question. You are not even smart enough to pretend as if you didn't receive the question in advance. So it's unfortunate that they are doing this to me, and they are making a mockery of the First Amendment, which allows me to do my job and which allows anyone to have the right to free expression. And they're trying to silence me, basically.
We're talking with Simon Ateba with Today News Africa, who the White House has threatened to pull his hard pass if he asks any other tough questions or tries to even do what reporters do and ask a question out loud of the spokesperson or of the administration. Simon, it seems like are there any other, the Washington Post that wrote a hit piece, and I've seen other publications amplify this. For all the talk about the sanctity of the free press, have any of the free press defended you?
No, none. All of them, because, when you cover the White House, it's the top here in Washington, D.C. You travel on Air Force One with the president, you attend social events, you go for yoga. So they are living their life. And so if you become critical of the people in power, you lose those privileges. So what they do now is to protect the state and crush the little guy, even though President Biden claimed that he was the guy for blacks and brown and the little guy, and the people on the left who always brand the people on the right as racist. What they're actually doing to me is pure discrimination and racism. Because Jim Acosta did it, they protected him. Actually, someone played a radio recording of a child crying at the border during the Trump administration, during a press conference. And they didn't threaten that person. But when it comes to Simon Ateba, black from Africa, and they pretend to be doing the job, but actually what they are doing, they are hiding their hatred and racism. And they are defaming me and trying to assassinate my character so that people can hate me and believe that I'm this dumb guy who goes to the White House and disrupts press briefings. Yeah. Any single person who listens to me or who read my story or read me on Twitter, realize that I'm smart. I'm not there to disrupt any press briefing. I sit there for months. I raise my hand, send them emails, ask questions, and they don't answer. They don't call on me during press briefings. They don't call on me during background calls. They don't respond to my email. When I go to their offices, they actually close doors on me. And when I meet the press secretary at the restaurant, as it happened the other day, she was just on my left side, and I said hi to her because I didn't know I don't believe we should take it personal. Right. And, she gave me this death stare. She could have killed me. If ice could kill, I would be a dead person right now. And, it's a shame what's going on. And most people who are watching this believe in the freedom of the press. And I'm just trying to do that, do my job, ask the questions, and now I'm being sidelined, and they're doing everything to kick me out.
And there's really, where can you go to remedy the situation? Because the White House Press Correspondents Association, the way that I understand it, they kind of close the door on you because they stay in line with the administration. They like that access to power, as you said. They like the perks that go along with that high placement as a journalist. So they haven't, from what I understand, haven't been receptive to your very real concerns.
No, they actually connived with the White House to kick me out. They prevented me from attending the dinner. There's this big dinner that takes place in April every time with the president in attendance, the vice president. What they did was they kicked me out of the WACA. The president of the White House Correspondent Association, Tamra Kidd, she's doing a horrible job. Her show, I think her show was canceled because people were not listening. And those are the people who dictate. Those are people who dictate how journalism should be. When she tweets, there are two or three people who like it because she's not connecting with the people. When I tweet, sometimes I have 110,000 people who like it, and some of my tweets reach 9 to 10 million people. I'm connecting with the people. I've done the job, and I was trained as a journalist, first degree in journalism, second degree in journalism. So they can say, "Oh my God, this guy is not trained as a journalist, doesn't work as a journalist." I do only one job. I have no second job. I have nothing else, and they're just trying to silence me, attacking me, using the Washington Post to do a hit job on me. We are sending them a letter asking them to retract their story. If they refuse, we
Good.
take them to court. It's a shame what's going on here in Washington.
It's a shame, and it's a shame that other reporters don't have the back of an actual real reporter. But you mentioned jealousy, and I think that's part of it because you're actually doing the job. Simon Ateba, I think one of the best ways to help Simon fight back on this is to read his work and share his work. You can find him on social media at Simon Ateba, Ateba, and you can also read him at Today News Africa all over the internet. Simon, you do amazing work. Thankfully, we still have someone who's willing to ask the hard questions and doesn't care what is thought of him in D.C. He only cares about the people reading his work and serving the truth to those people. So thank you for that effort. We appreciate you.
Thank you, Dana.
Of course.